Hello, friends. Here we are with the next part of the journey of the life of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa Dev. Still now, we haven't found Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa Dev, but we have found Gadadhar, and we are, and till now, what we have read from that, we came to know that the journey of Gadadhar, and still now, he hasn't transformed into Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa Dev, but he is in Calcutta, right? So, what is the next part? What is the stage where is the stage where he is going to perform his immense masterpiece of the divine play. For that, it we must introduce the platform, that is the Dakshineshwar temple. So the next part of the story is the Dakshineshwar temple. In the John Bazar quarter of Calcutta, there lived a rich widow named Rani Rashmani with four daughters. On the death of her husband, Rairaj Chandra Das, she had inherited his immense properties, and so carefully and intelligently did she administer the affairs of the estate that she bequeathed it to her successor with increased revenues. Besides her business ability and courage, she was remarkable as well for devotion to God, faith in religion, and love and sympathy for the poor. To this day, her extensive charities are still spoken of, and various eleemosynary works in and near Calcutta remain to testify to her generosity. She was fortunate in having as son in law Mathura Mohan or Mathura Nath Bishwas, her peer in every respect and a competent assistant in the management of her affairs. He was married to the Rani's third daughter. On her death, he took the fourth Jagadamba Dasi as wife. The goddess Kali was Rani Rashmani's special object of devotion, her image even appearing on the seal of the estate. For many years, she had the desire to make a pilgrimage to Benares and had even set aside money for the purpose. But the heavy burden of administration of the estate always stood in the way. But when Mathura signified his willingness to shoulder the burden, she proceeded to make arrangements to fulfill her heart's desire. Everything was in readiness, and the pilgrimage was to start on the morrow. That night, the Rani had a dream in which the goddess appeared to her, ordered her to abandon the journey, and told her to build and dedicate a temple to her on the banks of the Ganges. If this were done, she promised to manifest herself there in the image set up. Another account says that Rani Rasmani had actually set out on the pilgrimage, and on her boat on the Ganges beside the village of Dakshineshwar she had had her dream. Whatever the truth of the matter might be, she abandoned the idea of the pilgrimage and set about carrying out the divine injunction. In the year 1847, 20 acres of land at Dakshineshwar on the Ganges were purchased from Mr. Hasty, an attorney of the Calcutta Supreme Court, and a building which took some 8 years to complete, was begun. Dakshineswar, in 4 miles to the north of Calcutta, the Ganges flows by the west side of the temple, where its bathing hut is located. A visitor coming by boat to see the temple first ascends the steps and enters a large open portico which is placed in the middle of a row of 12 Shiva temples on the north and south of it. East of this, there is a paved court in the center of which are two large temples, and one on the north dedicated to Krishna and Radha, and that on the south to the goddess Kali. In the latter, on a beautiful thousand petaled silver lotus, lies the prostrate figure of Shiva, on whose breast, facing the north, stands the divine mother known as Bhavatarini, or the savior of the world. Chiseled out of a single piece of basalt, there are nine domes with spires to this temple. In front of it is the spacious music hall, a rectangular court, the gorgeous terrace of which is supported by stately pillars. On the south, east, and north sides of the courtyard are rooms used as quarters for the temple staff and storerooms, kitchens, etc. In the northwest corner of the courtyard and immediately to the north of the row of Shiva temples is a chamber which is of special interest to us. For it was there that Sri Ramakrishna lived while in the temple. This room has a semicircular balcony on the west whence he could view the Ganges. In front of his balcony is a path running north and south. Farther west is the flower garden, and just beneath that flows the Ganges. Outside the temple compound, proper lying to the north of it is a building which is used by the members of Rasmani's family when they visit the garden. There are two concrete rooms, one on the southwest and the other on the northwest corner of the temple compound. The garden is provided with two tanks, and many trees and plants add to its beauty. The most noticeable of these trees is the large banyan which played so conspicuous a part in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. And next in importance is the bale tree on the northern extremity of the garden. We shall have occasion to refer to them later on. The day fixed for the installation of the statue of the goddess was May 31st, 1855, a sacred day known as Snan Yatra or the bathing ceremony. Everything was ready, and the Rani's heart was filled with joy at the thought that the fulfillment of the mother's promise to manifest herself there and to bless her was so close at hand. But at the last moment, certain unforeseen obstacles arose which seemed to destroy her plans. What happened next? How actually she succeeded? We will come to know in the next segment, in the next part of this reading in next week. Till then, not till now, till then, please be with me, keep listening, and tada!